How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully, everyone's having. I don't have to say hopefully. I'm assuming walking into Jacksonville on Monday Night Football, where the Bengals have not won in seemingly a decade, is a primetime football game under the lights on the road, and they did it with Jake the Snake, the backup quarterback Browning, under the helm, throwing for 32 of 37. What a game. This guy walked into 2-minute warning with 2 incompletions, and one of them was a tip, and one of them was off the hands of Tyler Boyd. What a start. And first of all, credit Jake Browning. I mean, this guy came in here and said listen, I've been working, I've been grinding. It's my 3rd year in this system. I invest in myself. I put a lot of money into training, my own money into training, getting this extra work done, investing in myself, saying, hey, I'm going to eventually take advantage of this opportunity. I mean, this is a guy that was a disgustingly good college football player, a really good high school football player. We knew he had it in him. And he's just sitting there under the lights, working, grinding, hustling, studying the tape, understanding the system, doing what he can to put himself in a position to let this football team exceed when he gets the opportunity. And boy, did he do that this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then we look at Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor, this football team under a lot of scrutiny enter this week. We'll be the first one. We brought it up. We said, hey, Zach Taylor has not proven he can win a football game without Joe Burrow. He hasn't. He couldn't do it with Andy Dalton. He couldn't do it with the backups they had when Burrow was injured. You just couldn't do it. When he proves that he can do that, we'll start talking about trusting Zach Taylor without Joe Burrow. We'll start talking about Zach as a head coach. And he came in this week and did just that. When I say it is time, Bengals fans, to turn off the switch, there will be no Zach Taylor slander for a very long time, I absolutely mean it. Just picking apart this football game. First 2 drives, screen pass, run, screen pass, run, screen pass, screen. I think we undersold how much they screen passed. They said, let's throw the ball to Jamar. Jamar had 4 catches for like 4 yards, 3 catches, 3 yards. I know that's how he started. And you thought, okay, this is what the Bengals are going to do all game. Those people saying get Jake Browning out here. Now, you can't say that. No. It wasn't Jake Browning's fault. Those were design plays. That was Zach Taylor saying, let's throw some screen passes out wide to Jamar Chase, and let's see if he can make a play. And when you look back and say, hey, you want to know why he did that? Because Jamar Chase in open space is a dangerous man. You get this guy a chance to get some blockers in front of him, possibly cut one loose and take one to the house, and this Bengals football team and the momentum gets going. You put the ball in your playmaker's hands. Jake Browning, 2nd career start. Not a pretty start for this Bengals football team. Overall, it's 73% of passes he completed against the Steelers at the end of the day. I mean, he had a good game, but they even looked back and said, hey, at the end of the day, he didn't do that bad. Sure, there was a couple of mistakes in there. Every quarterback's going to have them in his first game. He's got to have some growing pains in there. You know, we've seen it with Burrow where he made a couple plays. It's like, maybe he shouldn't have did that. That was kind of a bonehead play when he first came. You got to give the guy some time. You got to be patient with this man. This game, he comes in here and completes over 80%. Are you kidding me? But anyway, we'll go back to what Zach Taylor did in this football game. He said, let's get the we remember what these screen passes do, what these quick passes do. He said, let's get the quarterback's confidence going. But he changed it up and said, we're going to try to establish the run game this week. They made it a point early. He got Chase Brown involved more. He continued to get Chase Brown involved when he seen him kind of come in there with some spark and his a little jump in his step there, fighting the holes. But you get Jake Browning's confidence going, and after 2 drives, not a lot going. And right then and there, we said, hey, now this is where a coach is going to earn his stripes. Because it didn't work the first 2 drives. The Jaguars were pursuing. The Jaguars were making the plays and stopping those screen passes. They were not going anywhere. You have to let Jake Browning unleash that football. You have to let him stretch the field. You have to trust Jake Browning. The very next drive, he does exactly that and says, go ahead, Jake. Do what you got to do. The keys are now yours. We have to win this football game, playing with confidence in the quarterback, play with confidence in his team with some aggressiveness early on 4th down. You'd love to see that. Now, this is the thing. Again, credit Zach Taylor. I think we forget about in hindsight how conservative of a coach Marvin Lewis was, and other coaches can be the same way where they ain't going for it on 4th down. They ain't trusting their defense like that. But at the end of the day, to put that kind of confidence in your offense to go out there and play aggressive, to put your team in a position to win, don't play scared, essentially. I personally, I feel like you can feel that. I feel like as a player, as a quarterback, you can feel that your coach is playing scared and he doesn't believe in you and you're playing conservative, and that can get into your head. And I thought that was the thing with Jake Browning. He's like, what, is Zach Taylor playing scared to delay screen passes? Because you keep doing this, it's just going to put more pressure on Jake Browning when he does need to make a play. But he didn't. He said, all right, third drive of the game, open things up. We wanted to try to get things going this way, see if it would work. It didn't. Now it's your turn, Jake Browning. The keys are yours. Make some plays. And he did. And he made a lot of plays. Moving the football up and down the field. I can't express enough how much I appreciated what Zach Taylor did in his football game. A lot of people say, well, what about them two boneheaded plays? What about them two bonehead? What was up with the Bengals trying for the double pass? And there's a couple things we can say. We can be a negative Nancy, or we could say, okay, listen, Bengals walked in this football game with a backup quarterback. You want to throw some trickery in there to try to bust off a big play because, again, backup quarterback, it's not Joe Burrow. If you can catch this team slipping and get a big play, get a chunk play, keep your football team in the game. So you throw a couple trick plays in there. And more importantly, what did the Bengals do the first two drives? They screened it, 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 they screened it. They screened it a couple more times. You know that was in a Jaguars defense's head. Were they going to cheat? Were they going to over pursue that screen pass? So what the Bengals do, they throw a screen out wide. If the Jaguars start cheating, if they start over pursuing, which can often happen when you start to see the team do the same thing over and over again, all of a sudden you throw that football across the field to the other player and he makes his throw or does whatever it is, that's open. So when you see it from a game planning standpoint, you really think about what happened. Unfortunately, Tyler Boyd threw the interception. If he completes a pass and doesn't throw an interception, we're thinking completely different of those two plays. But at the end of the day, I think Zach Taylor walked into this football game and said, hey, if we overdo these plays, they're going to start cheating, they're going to start pursuing. And how do we reopen things back up? We chuck the football across the field. Continue to keep this team honest. Continue to make them respect whatever we're going to do. And that's so important. Continue to be different. Keep them guessing. And it felt like the Jaguars were guessing this entire football game. And again, you have to credit Zach Taylor for coming up with a game plan to keep this team guessing. You have to credit Jake Browning for playing the way he did. But again, under the lights. Under the primetime football against a primetime team, a team that is hot as anyone in the league. And your coach has to, again, come into this football game with a proper game plan. He has to come into this football game with his team believing. You lose 3 straight football games, you're down a quarterback, Cam Taylor-Britt, and you want to go into primetime in somebody else's house that is playing the football the Jaguars are, and your job as a head coach is to bring this team with some confidence, bring them in with some motivation, bring them in believing in themselves. And he did that. That was not an easy task. That cannot go underlooked. That was difficult. That was impressive. That, for me personally, I said, all right, hang on a second. Let's forget about what happened on the field for a second. Let's look at the scoreboard. Let's look at the statistics and say, hey, this team played with a lot. This team put up 31 points against a good Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Against Josh Allen, who's trying to go out there and win Defensive Player of the Year. Defense made a couple 3-and-out stops. Yeah, they allowed 28 points, 30 points. They allowed it. They did it again. But at the end of the day, when crunch time came and they needed to make a couple stops, the defense has done what they have done in the past, and they made those stops. I can't help but show appreciation and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we overreacted a little bit these past couple weeks, and Zach Taylor has more than earned his stripes as a Cincinnati Bengals head coach. I think we have to be patient with this man this game. I know a lot of people say we need to see consistency. I understand, but we also have to remember it's a week-to-week league where teams are going to adjust. And it's easy. The fact that he went out there and did what he did this week, though, in general, is impressive. I mean, it was easy to go out there and say Bengals might not score 25 points the rest of the season, but do it against a team like the Jaguars. Now we'll see how teams adjust in the future. They're going to find weaknesses and exploit those out of Bengals, of course, but that's just like any team, any game. But the Bengals really have a chance looking at the schedule. I mean, they're playing a bunch of backup quarterbacks and Patrick Mahomes to finish the season. They got a good chance to still win some football games. And now that Zach Taylor's got this team believing again, he's got me believing again. Love the y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.